So in this case it's 4, right? So it's going to be 4 beats in a bar. Okay, I have it at 60 beats per minute. So before I start, I mentioned about metronome or the tempo, right? So I highly encourage that you buy a metronome. Okay, so this is day 2. Day 2. So today we are just going to introduce this music sheet, you can say. Perhaps you may have seen this somewhere before. All kinds of music can be written on this sheet, whether it's drums, guitar, keyboard, violin, you name it. Anything can be written, any music can be written on this sheet. So for us, when we learn drums, we need to know there's got to be some kind of indication in the beginning to let us know that it is drum notes. What written on the sheet is drum notes, right? I mean, unless you already know what drum notes looks like, then you don't need it. But I'm talking from a beginner's perspective. So if you, let's imagine you have all kinds of music written here, and you don't know whether it's a drum note or a keyboard note or guitar note, right? So for that, we have something in the beginning. It is like a rectangular shaped box, and this is called a clef. CLEF, clef. That's what tell us that this is at the beginning of some drum notes. So these 5 lines, 1 2 3 4 5, they are called staff or stave. In some part of the world they are known staff, the other parts of the world they are known stave. Both are right. And these lines again are called staff or stave, and this staff or stave can be divided into bar or measure. Both are correct. Bar or measure. Again, some people call it bar, some people call it measure. You can see it is now divided into 2 bars by putting this line. So we have the bar 1, we have bar 2, right? Bar 1 here, bar 2. And at the end of bar 2, we have this thin line, and next to that we have the thick line. This indicates, also called double bar, this indicates that it's end of that session. Now keep in mind, this may not be the end of the song. It just simply means that it is end of any particular session we are playing. It may be the end of the song, it may not be the end of the song. So in this 2-bar example, we have 2 bars, right? Since we have this double bar here, this will be the end of this particular session. And you can always think like a story. So in simple, you can think like this story, this short story, very short story, is made up of 2 sentences. So we have the first sentence, second sentence. At the end of the second sentence, the story ends, right? So this 4/4 here is written 4/4, right? Actually, do not worry about it right now. As we get into quarter notes and all that, it makes more sense later versus now. But simply ignore this for right now. I can explain you a little bit later. I can quickly say that it's tell you what kind of timing is going to be, how many beats in a bar. The top number represents how many beats in a bar we play. So in this case it's 4, right? So it's going to be 4 beats in a bar. The bottom four, this one specifically indicates the quarter notes, right? So what kind of notes are we playing? So since it's 4, it's going to be quarter notes, which means this 4/4 means 4 quarter notes per bar or measure. Like I said, do not worry about it right now. So we'll learn that a little bit later. Now, so now we have learned staff or stave, and we have learned about the bar, how we can divide these lines into two separate sections, and we call it bar 1, bar 2, or you can say measure 1, measure 2. Now we are ready to write some music, right? But before we can write, just like alphabets, we need to learn the alphabet first, and we need to put together those alphabets into words, and then words into sentences, right? So next we are going to learn the drum notations. Very important. You need to, in order to read the drum notes, you need to know where each notation goes on this staff or stave, and each of these represent an instrument. So you can picture the traditional drum kit, right? So you have the snare drum, you have the bass drum, you have the toms, high tom, low tom, floor tom, floor 1, floor 2. So since they're all indicated in different lines on this staff or stave, so we need to learn that. So we'll start with snare. So as you can see, snare goes between line 2 and line 3. Between line 2 and line 3, and this is where snare is placed. Tom 1 or high tom is placed between 1 and 2. And in our rhythm pad examples, this is going to be the top left. The very left one. Low tom or tom 2, it is written right on the second line. Right on the second line. In our rhythm pad example, it is the second from the left. Second from the left. Floor 1, it is written between line 3 and 4. Line 3 and 4. It is the third one from the left on our rhythm pad scenario. Floor 2 is the last pad on the rhythm pad, the very right one, and it is written right on line 4. Right on line 4. And we have the bass drum here, and it can be written two ways. It can be written with the stem going up, or it can be written the stem going down. Sometimes you see the stem going up, in some notes you see the stem going down, especially when the music sheet is too crowded. To make it less confusing, some use the stem down. And this part here, it is called stem, as I was just saying. Same thing for all of these. This part here is called stem. Okay. So we have learned snare, toms, and bass drum. Now let's look at the hi-hat. Hi-hat goes on the very first line. It is above the first line. It's not coming out, as you can see here. It stays above the first line. Actually, it's not on the first line. It is above the first line. So it is written as like a X, and it's got a stem like that. Written as X, and it's got a stem. Hi-hat. It is closed hi-hat, by the way. It's very important. Closed hi-hat. Open hi-hat is written same, like exactly everything same, and you can put a circle right on top. So it is same like X, exactly X. It's got a stem, and you can just put a little circle above it which indicates open hi-hat. So we have closed here and open here. So ride is just like the closed hi-hat, except the placement is different. So that's why earlier I was saying the closed hi-hat is written above the first line, whereas the ride is written on the first line. Okay, so that is the difference. Crash or simple, everything same again, just like the hi-hat here. Just like the hi-hat here, it is written on the first line. It is written on the first line. Only difference is there's an extra line going across. Extra line going across here, which makes it crash or your simple, right? So review this again, watch the videos as many times as you want and learn this. The placement of these notations very important, and when we start implementing or writing notes, that's when we really need to know the importance of where each one of these goes, and we should be able to read and write without any problems. Okay, now we are going to learn whole note. Okay, whole note, it's written like an oval shaped. It is not exactly a circle. It is more like an oval shaped. And the rest sign, we have rest sign for all the notes. So for the whole note, this is how the rest sign looks like, and it is written or it is indicated on the staff like this, and it is placed right on the second line. You can almost say like it's hanging down the second line, right? It's hanging down the second line. So when you see this, that means you take rest. But though you are not playing, you would still keep counting, but we will talk about it a little later. So like I said, whole note like an oval shaped, and whole note we only play one time in each bar or measure. So all we need to do, play on that first beat, and even though we don't play for 2, 3 and 4, we keep counting. For example, we play on the first note, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. In simple example, you can think like hitting a bell. Once you hit the bell, there is that decay or sustain you'll hear for a while, right? So for example, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that sustain will carry and cover the remaining beats. So you don't need to play, just play one time in the beginning, and that sustain will cover up to the fourth beat, right? So same thing, bar 2. Remember, this is bar 1. You have the division here, so this is bar 2. Give that first beat on the first note. That's it. 2, 3, 4. We just keep counting, but we do not play. Bar 3, we have the rest sign, right? Bar 1, bar 2, bar 3, we have the rest sign. Again, it's like, you can see like it's hanging down the second line, right? That's the rest sign. And even though we don't play, we keep counting 1, 2, 3, 4, but we don't physically play on the rhythm pad. Bar 4 is same like bar 3. We have the rest sign, so we don't play, we keep counting, right? And I need to put this thin and thick line here. So which indicates that it is the end of the session. Now whether we go back and play the entire thing, it depends on repeat signs, which we are going to learn a little bit later. But for the practice purpose, you need to go ahead and repeat as many times you want. But once we learn the repeat signs, we would for sure know whether we need to repeat this session again and how many times we need to repeat if there is a repeat sign. So let's practice this. Let's practice on the rhythm pad. I'm going to set the tempo, the metronome, at 60 beats per minute, and that's where you always should start, because it's a good starting point for your practice time, because you always want to start slowly and build up the speed. So therefore start at 60 and practice. Ensure that you're playing that first beat in each bar, and you take rest wherever it is indicated, this like this, but you still keep counting. So let's hear this now. Okay, I have it at 60 beats per minute. So before I start, I mentioned about metronome or the tempo, right? So I highly encourage that you buy a metronome, so that when you practice you can set the tempo. When you play along with the tempo, you have something to keep up with, right? Therefore the chance of your going out of the tempo is primarily decreased. So therefore I highly encourage to buy a metronome, or you can just go to your Play Store, Android or iPhone. You can download free ones. There's a bunch of free ones out there. You can just simply download it, or if you want a physical one, if you really want a physical one, I have the link in the description. You can buy it online, or just go to your nearest music store and ask them about a metronome, and they will be able to help you out. So for today's whole note exercise, I'm going to be playing on the closed hi-hat. This is the closed hi-hat. If you have seen previously, sometimes you see videos with people asking you to play on the snare drum, which is fine, but to me the hi-hat is the foundation. When you learn more, when you watch the next few videos, you will understand that everything is based on the hi-hat. If you're playing the hi-hat right, it becomes much easier, and you will understand only when you watch more videos and start training more advanced notes and all that. So to me, I need to show you everything on this hi-hat, closed hi-hat. So let me start this, and we'll hear how this one sounds. Remember, bar 1 and 2 we are playing that first note. 3 and 4 we are resting, but we would still count, right? One, two, ready, start. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, I played that first note on bar 1 and bar 2. 3 and 4 I kept counting but did not play, since we have the rest sign, right? So you should practice like this. Even though it's a very simple basic example, you would think like, oh, it's very easy what this is. I thought it would be much harder. Well, it has to start from the root. I would say these are some of the very basic thing you need to practice. Even though you're playing only one beat in a bar, you should be precise with the tempo, which means uh, if you're going out of tempo, see, right there you are out of, I was out of tempo. That was precise with the tempo. So also remember to align with the tempo. The click, you can hear the click, you should play together with the click is what I mean. Okay, so even though it's just one beat, those are the things you need to concerned about, and how you should practice. So that's it for this session. If you gain any knowledge from today's session, please subscribe, watch more videos, come back and watch more videos if you like to continue learning. Perhaps in the next session we are going to start with half note, so stay tuned for that. Thank you.